Bismillah, alhamdulillah, wa salatu wa salam ala rasulillah wa ala alihi wa sahbihi wa man wala. Assalamu alaikum everybody, how you doing? Alhamdulillah. How you doing?
Alhamdulillah.
Alhamdulillah. Some people are sleeping. Okay. I know it's 6 o'clock, so what are you going to do? It's actually 6:30. So let's continue. I hope you had a chance to download the PDFs. Okay. So there's two PDFs. We're going to start with one of them. And, right. We'll talk, inshallah, at the end of the class. If I forget, remind me to talk about the timing for the class, because there's a book. So we'll see how that goes. Okay. So, I see, I think, new faces. New faces? I'm sorry? What's your name, sister? Maryam. Assalamu alaikum. How are you? How you doing, Amina, sister? Alaikum assalam. Okay. And I see other faces come back and go, so it's good. Okay, so let's a quick review. Okay, last week we talked about if a dog lick from a vessel. This is a vessel that has liquid, such as water or honey or milk or whatever, and a dog comes and lick from the vessel, right? We talked about that hadith. Who can tell me what's impure about the dog? And is it the whole dog? Is it the body of the dog? Is it the bones of the dog? Is it his saliva? What is it? Yes? Saliva. Saliva is the only thing impure about the dog. Okay? So if a dog, you're in the elevator and your neighbor has a little cute little chihuahua thing, don't freak out. Because people think Muslims are anti-animals and stuff, because we see people sometimes, Muslims, in the elevators like, oh, don't touch me, and they're like angry, right? Don't be like that. If the dog just touches your body with its body, right? Go ahead. Yeah. You're not in the camera. Go ahead. If the dog touches your body with his body, there's nothing you need to do. That hair and everything is nothing. It's not going to make anything to you. If the dog licks your pants or your whatever, your clothes, then you need to do what? People who are here. Wash it. How many times? 7 times?
Wash it like 7 times.
Apparently you were not here last time. Tasneem. How many times? 1 time. 1 time. It's a misconception that people think when the dog licks your clothes, you wash it 7 times, the first time with sand. I can tell you how many clothes I ruined when I was a kid, because I did not know. And my mom is like, what are you doing? Why you always play in the mud? I'm like, Mom, the dog. She's like, oh, okay. She didn't know either, right? The 7 times thing only applies if the dog licks from a vessel, a container, a pot that has liquid. At which time, what do? First, what do you do with the liquid? You throw it away. Number 2, what do you do with the vessel? 7 times. The first with dirt. So one with sand, and then the 6 times with water. And it has been proven recently that sand is the only material that kills the germs. Is the only material that kill the germs that come from the saliva of the dog. And people who always have... Are you recording?
Yes.
Yeah, go ahead. And people... I got to be very careful now what to say. And people who have dogs in the house, hopefully non-Muslims, who kiss the dog constantly, they actually get diseases. They get diseases in their mouth and in their tongue. So this is what to do when the dog licks from... when the dog licks from the vessel. Now, another quick question. Can we have a dog as a pet in the house? Yes or no? Raise your hand if you think it's yes. Can you have a dog in the house as a pet? Raise your hand if you think it's yes. Okay. Raise your hand if you think it's no. Yes?
No.
No. Okay. We're saying yes. Okay. Raise your hand if you think it's no. Okay. Raise your hand if you did not raise your hand yet. Okay. Good. The answer is no. You cannot have it as a pet. Prophet Muhammad ﷺ said, the angels do not enter a place which has dogs or pictures. Watch that one. Pictures. Okay, these are pictures that are painted, or these are pictures that people take and put in a frame. But we're not talking about pictures today, okay? Because some scholar says you can have pictures electronically in the camera, whatever, in electronic media, but that's debatable, right? But once you print it and you hang it, the angel's not going to enter the house, right? What's the wisdom behind that? Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala going to bring those people who draw pictures or took pictures and says, you imitated my creation, bring them back. Make life in them, and they will not be able to. You don't want to be in that situation. So, Jibreel alayhi salam was coming to Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, and he did not show up that day. Second day he showed up. Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam asked him, why didn't you show up yesterday? He says, there was a dog in the house. Prophet Muhammad did not know, and he says, I cannot enter the house. So you cannot have the dog as a pet, but you can have the dog as, in two situations. Guard, protection, or hunting. Hunting for fun? Let's go catch some deers and shoot them and put pictures on the Facebook? No. Hunting for food. So Sarah Palin and all that stuff they were doing is not right. Well, she's not Muslim anyway, so she got kufr to worry about first, right? Before the dog. Yes?
Do you have a seeing eye dog, like a blind person who has like a dog for
Hunting?
No, a blind person who has a dog for like.
That's a very special situation.
Okay.
That's a necessity. That he can have a dog, but still not inside the house. Not inside the house. But he can have a dog. He's not protecting him. He's not, even though you can debate protecting, but he's guiding him. That's a different situation. So we studied in fiqh. There are principles in fiqh that are called fiqh. The word ruling is tricky. Let's call it bases of fiqh, or they call it really qawaid. Qaida meaning rule. But people can confuse that with the rule as haram and halal. This is not the same thing. This is the rules that you use, you base your analysis on. For example, one of which we talked about, and I don't want to get into usul al-fiqh, that's a whole different subject, but it's fascinating. One of which is ad-darurat tubihu al-mahdhurat. If hardships allow for ease. You're in the desert, there's nothing, you're gonna die. The only thing you can all of a sudden you find is some alcohol, and there's no water at all. And if you don't drink, you're gonna die. Islam says you protect the soul. The first thing that Islam came to protect is the soul, is the body. Then you drink, but you don't drink the whole thing. You drink just enough to survive. And you hate it in your heart, and once you see water, you drop it. That's al-darurat tubihul mahdurat. Hardships allow for ease. People take that very loosely. I gotta buy a house, that's a necessity. No, it's not. Because you can have a rent. That's not a necessity. So, but this is a whole different subject. So we talked about dog. The dog saliva is impure. That's what's happening with the dog. Now, right. What happened, quick question, while we're still on the dog subject, what happened if you're not sure let me back off. If the dog lick your pants, can you pray with those pants? No. Until you wash it. How many times? One time, not 50, right? Okay, one time. And can you use Ajax or whatever, or it just must be pure water and that's it? Can you use soap? Why?
Because
Well, why? I want to use water. Water and soap. Why can't I just use water? Yes.
You can. No, the question was why you should not use soap.
Can you do you have to only use water, nothing else, or can you use Ajax or Tide or whatever?
Because I'd say you can use soap because the time of Prophet they didn't have soap. So
They had things, but the point is the goal is to remove the impurity. Right? You're right. Maybe they did not have soap. They removed it with water. If that now happens with water and soap, that's fine. Right? Now, what happened is you're walking, the dog approaches you. You don't know if he licked your pants or not. You're not sure. Did he lick my pants? And you had wudu, you're about to pray, dog showed up, what's up? And you don't know if he licked your pants or not. What do? Wait, raise your hand. This is a tough one. Yes. Huh? You don't do anything. Okay. Anyone else think you should do something? Decide, chase the dog or something? No? No. Okay, why didn't you do anything? Oh, mashallah. MashaAllah. She just used one of the qawaid al-fiqhiyya, which says that certainty is not removed by doubt. Certainty is not removed by doubt. What's certain and what's in doubt. So, in this case, what are you certain of? That you have wudu and you're walking. You're not certain, you're in doubt that he licked you or not. You're not sure. Then certainty wins, then you have wudu and he did not lick the dog did not, I say he, but it did not lick your pants. Same example is like this: you have wudu, you remember you made wudu, but you don't remember if you broke the wudu. Did I break the wudu? Then you have wudu, right? Opposite situation. You're 100% sure you did not have wudu, and then you're like, did I make wudu? What's certain? You did not have wudu. What's in doubt? Did I make wudu or not? Then what remains? You don't have wudu. Okay? So this is how you apply that rule. Okay, so now let's move on. Today we're going to talk about cats, one of my favorite animals, because I have 3 of them. Beautiful, beautiful creatures. Prophet Muhammad ﷺ said in hadith number 9, I believe it's 9 in everywhere in the book. Do you have the book? When are you going to download the book? It's PDF and smartphone. أن رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم قال في الهرة إنها ليست بنجس هي من الطوافين عليكم والطوافات. Meaning, he was asked about the cat, and he said the cat is not unclean, it's not impure, it is one of those who comes and go on you or around you a lot. And this hadith is in Tirmidhi. The story was a cat drank from some water, and so the Sahaba asked Prophet Muhammad ﷺ, what to do with this water? This water is impure or what? And he mentioned this hadith. Now, so is the saliva of the cat pure or impure? Pure, because
the cat drank from the cup
and he did not say anything about it. So that's a good opinion. He says that's opinion number 1. And in fiqh, you have already known by now that there's always more than one opinion. Almost always, which is alright, because that's from Allah's mercy to us. You can actually choose the opinion that's easier for you. First, Aisha radiallahu anha used to say, Prophet Muhammad ﷺ, whenever he was faced with a situation, he chose the easiest. However, don't confuse that with, you don't know the ruling in a certain matter, but you have a preference. You already have a choice, and now you're looking, all the opinions. I'm gonna take this one because you already have a preference. That's not the same thing. That's what they call fatwa shopping, and that's not accepted. You must completely be non-biased. I don't know. I really don't know. You read and it says, Wallahu alam, my heart feels comfortable with this one. Not already have an opinion and then look for the whatever matches that from the fuqaha, right? Opinion number 1 says the cat. Sorry, you guys answered, and I forgot the chocolate. So in this class, when someone answers something good, or even try, sister, we give them chocolate. But don't let that be the reason to attend, okay? Alright. Opinion number 1 is that it's pure because of this hadith. Opinion number 2, it says it's not pure because there was another hadith. The hadith said the purification of a utensil, if a cat licked it, is to wash it once or twice. It's mentioned in another book called Ad-Darqatuni, which is another scholar. And this hadith is debatable because it was narrated. One of the narrators' name is Isa ibn al-Nusayr. And Isa ibn al-Nusayr has doubts about his authenticity. Don't ask me why, because this is ilm al-hadith. This is people who study this, they know every single person who ever narrated, who's strong and who's not. Right? So this guy has a question mark, but it's not 100% established. So let's assume that this hadith is actually good. Let's not assume that this hadith which says if the cat licks from the utensil, you wash it. Let's assume that this hadith is correct. So then what do we do now? Those of you who were here when we said sometimes you see a hadith which says something, and another hadith which seem to say something else, and both of them are authentic, right? Can anybody remind me what do we do? There are 3 steps we do. Raise hand if you know. You don't have to know the exact naming, but tell me what do you do? Okay, you've been answering all the time. Anyone else? Okay, go ahead. Number 1 is you choose one over the other. That's not number 1, but this is one of the steps.
I mean,
Tell me all the steps and then we'll see which one is
I
number
know
1.
there's one where they're both authentic, but you just go with one.
That's step number 2. So both are authentic, but you decide to go with one over the other. This is called tarjih. Tarjih meaning you choose this selection. You choose this over this. And the reason you do that is sometimes this one that you choose has more narrators than this one. This one has people with stronger memory than this one, and many other reasons. Fascinating science when you get into it. And believe me, I don't know it. I only know like this. Okay. This is one step. The other step you said is to choose one completely over the other. That's called. Do you remember? Say it in English if you want. That's called naskh. Naskh meaning one overrule. Abrogation. Thank you. Abrogation. You choose one completely over the other, right? And that's usually the case when there's a question about authenticity, right? Or when one happened historically after the other, so it's kind of like removed it. For example, take the ayat from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in the Quran when He talk about alcohol. The earlier ayat about alcohol says what? Alcohol has harm and has benefit, but the harm is more. So it didn't say don't drink alcohol. It just said this. And then the ayat later came, it says what? Don't drink alcohol, it's haram, it's rijs and all that stuff. So this one completely made naskh or abrogated the earlier one. And then the first one is First one is you take both hadith. It's called reconciliation. Okay, sister, you deserve one. Good effort, mashallah. Reconciliation. You take both hadith. Now, how do you do that? What if they are seemingly different? Then maybe one of them says you must do something, right? So if you read that hadith in itself, you said that's it. It's a wajib, it's a fard, I must do it. The other hadith, sometimes Prophet Muhammad ﷺ maybe did not do it, or did something a little bit less, which means it lessens the ruling to mustahab. Instead of wajib becomes mustahab, or opposite. Hadith that seems to say this is don't do it, it's haram. Another one, Prophet Muhammad ﷺ did it to show us that it's actually makruh only. Okay, and we talked about these. Now, how do you reconcile then these two hadith? One says, don't worry about it, the cat is fine, the cat comes and go around you, so it's not impure. And the other one says, if the cat licks from the thing, then wash it. From the utensil, then wash it. How do you reconcile this? What do you think? If you want to look at the notes, go ahead. Right. So one way, yes, go ahead.
I was going to say, would it be mustahab to wash the...
That is correct. That is correct.
vessel?
That is correct. That lessens it to mustahab to wash. It's a mustahab to wash the utensils. Not a fard, but it's mustahab. But if you don't do it, something mustahab, wait, no, don't answer. Something mustahab and you don't do it, do you earn a sin? No, you don't earn a sin. If you do it, you earn reward. Right. Now let's move on. Something makruh. If you do it, do you earn a sin? brother? Yes. Just try. You don't earn a sin. And if you leave it, do you get a reward? Yes. Amazing. That doesn't mean go do makruh. Some people get this in the wrong way. You know what? Oh wow, that's only makruh. No. Think about it. Makruh meaning disliked by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Why would you do something that is disliked by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala? Right? Okay. The haram and halal, the haram and these are obvious. Haram, if you do it, it's sin. If you leave it, you also earn reward. Right? And the fard or the wajib, that's the highest level. If you do it, you get sin. And if you leave it, if you do it, you get reward. And if you leave it, you earn sin, right? It's wajib, right? Okay. So one of the things you can do about these two hadith is that this is not an obligation to clean the utensil. It's mustahab to clean the utensil if the cat licks from it. And number two, another opinion is the utensil is still pure, but cleaning it is more of a ta'abbud thing. Is more of a ta'abbud, almost close meanings, right? But at the end of the day, the cat is pure. Yes, I have cats, right? You gotta go? Khair, inshallah. So now we discussed the dog, we discussed the cats. What about the saliva of other animals? What about the saliva of other animals? Think rabbit, think duck that you might have, I don't know, some people have, or chicken, or whatever. Yes. It should be?
Pure.
Okay.
Because the things, let's say, for example, haram, that's mentioned in the Quran and Hadith.
Okay.
So something that we shouldn't do should be mentioned.
Walaikum salam.
So if something was impure, it should be mentioned. If it's not, then it's pure.
So give me an example of something that's mentioned that is haram. You said, the brother said, it should be pure because anything that's haram is already mentioned to us, either in the Quran or in the Hadith. If it's not mentioned, then it's pure. Give me an example.
That's haram.
That's haram.
Alcohol. Alcohol.
Alcohol. So alcohol is haram, right? Is alcohol impure?
It's a difference of opinion.
Yes.
Some people say it's toxic, some people say it's impure, it's not just.
It makes you intoxicated,
Yeah.
so it's haram to consume. But if something come on your hand by mistake, do you actually have to go make ghusl? Most scholars say no. Wash your hand if you feel comfortable, but you actually don't have to. And that's a long debate. But let's take something easier. Something easier.
What do you call ham, pig?
This is not easier. Something easier. Drugs. Drugs are haram, right? If someone throw marijuana on you, do you have to go now wash your clothes? No. Remember what we said? Every impure is haram, but not every haram is impure. Every impure is haram, but not every haram is impure, right? So you get you take money from the bank with interest. This is haram money, right? Now you hold the money. You have to go now take ghusl, make ghusl? No, right? Because the money is not impure. The money is haram. That's the difference between haram and impure, right? So every impure is haram, not every haram is impure. Remember that, okay? It's tricky. So now let's go back. Yes. But this is for the answer. In the camera, they don't see. I'm like, what is he doing in the camera? What is he threatening people? Yes. Sorry.
Yeah, no, I heard someone say that alcohol was
Najis, right. So the subject of alcohol, it's a long subject. I'm gonna defer it to the course that I'm gonna give in the future about the fiqh of food and the fiqh of clothes. Very, very important class. But if you guys don't show me interest in this class, there's no point to move forward because this is basic compared to the other one, right? But alhamdulillah, I'm seeing respond and everything. Because the reason I'm saying because fiqh is a very dry subject. Even though you throw examples and stuff, but there's still dryness. It's not stories, it's not the sincerity of the heart and worshiping Allah, even though you are worshiping Allah by following halal haram, right? But it's a dry subject, right? But it's a very important subject. That's why when you go to the Islamic universities, you don't study fiqh day one. In the first couple of years, you study Quran and you study hadith. And only the top students go to fiqh. Because fiqh requires you to think and analyze, right? And you have principles. It's not just from your mind. It's not like Facebook, guys, what do you think? And 50 people tell you their opinion. No. It's based on actually knowledge, right? And this is what you study. Okay, so are the saliva of the other animals impure or pure? Opinion one was they are pure. They are pure. Opinion one. Let's start with the other one. If you take the dog as an example, then the saliva of other animals are impure, right? If you take the dog as your example, then the saliva of other animals are impure. If you take the cats as an example, then the saliva of other animals are pure, right? Because we studied the dog saliva and we studied the cat saliva, right? Now, another factor is Prophet Muhammad ﷺ, check this out. He was giving khutbah, and he was giving khutbah while he's sitting on the camel. While it's sitting on the camel. Back then, not everything are seats and stuff like that. And this is permissibility that you can actually give khutbah, not necessarily on a minbar. Okay? And as he was sitting in the camel, one of the Sahaba was holding the camel, so the camel doesn't move. And the camel, if you've ever seen camels in the desert, but the camel sometimes drool. So the camel drool on the Sahabi who was holding the camel. Prophet Muhammad ﷺ did not tell him, stop, go, make ghusl, clean yourself. He did not say anything. And the Sahabi, check this out, did not move. Right? A fly hit you, ew! Oh man, I'm gonna burn this clothes. Right? The Sahabi, the drool, have you seen the drool of the camel? Sorry, I don't mean to gross you out or anything. It's big. Okay? When I was a kid, I used to go to the desert, so I've seen the dude, and it's big, right? But he didn't move, and Prophet Muhammad ﷺ did not tell him to change. So that means what? That means the saliva of the camel is what? Is pure, right? So this is the camel, right? What about the other animals? So is it opinion one impure? Is it opinion two? Now, before we talk about this, let's talk a little bit again about the reason, or we call it illah. Remember the illah? I know the people who just show up like, what is he talking about? Right. So the illah is the reason for the ruling. Meaning, when you travel, what can you do with the salah? Shorten it and combine it, right? You can combine Dhuhr and Asr and shorten it, 2 and 2. And you combine Maghrib and Isha, 3 and 2. The illah, or the reason that you can do that, is that you're traveling, right? The illah, the reason that you can do that, is that you travel, right? So it's really the reason for the ruling to exist. You cannot apply the ruling without that illah, without that reason. Now, so the scholar says the reason for the cat to be pure, it's because the word at-tawafin alaykum, which what the hadith says, meaning it comes and go around you a lot. The cat goes around you a lot, right? So that means, because if we have to wash every time the cat touch your clothes, and the cat is always hanging out, you will be busy just in the laundry room all day, right? Washing your clothes, right? And Islam actually, subhanAllah, takes that into consideration. Takes no disruption in your life. There's another principle. I don't mean to make you fuqaha at the end of this course, but I want you to have appreciation to fiqh, and I want you to understand to good degree what we're talking about. So sometimes we go into analysis, it could be dry, hang in there, and then you know the ruling at the end, right? But the reason we do these things is because a lot of times what happens, someone says, what do you think about this? And someone read one hadith, and he says, that's it. That's the ruling. Not realizing there's more hadith, maybe there's ayah, maybe there's other things. So you cannot take one and do that. Now, remember the fiqh principle we talked about it? Al-hukmu yaduru ma'a illatihi wujudan wa adaman. We studied that or not? which it means the ruling follows the reason in presence and in absence. In presence and in absence, right? Meaning, in this case, the cat is pure because the reason is she hanging out, right? She's constantly around you. Okay, if she's not around you, that means she's not pure anymore? No. So the reason does not exist today. She's just hanging out with the other cats today. The cat is still pure. The cat, it's still pure. Okay? Another example, people get confused. They say, okay, if you're traveling, the reason you combine the prey, it's because it makes it easy for you. No, that's not the reason. This is the wisdom. There is wisdom and there is reason. So when you travel, you can combine the salah. The reason you can combine the salah is why the ruling is happening, is so that the reason is you're traveling, so you can combine. The wisdom why you combine is to make it easier for you. Now, you need the reason to apply the ruling, but you do not need the wisdom to apply the ruling, right? Why? You're traveling today in a luxury plane, everything is nice, right? You get juice and you get halal food, inshallah, and everything, and relax. Can you combine the salah while you travel on the plane with all this luxury? What do you think, sister? You cannot. Why not? Because? Right, let's say it's a small trip, so you're not going to cross continents and confuse about time. So you know what time is Dhuhr, what time is Asr, what time is Maghrib, what time is Isha. Can you combine, base that on the fact that you're traveling? But now you're traveling in a luxury plane. No, why? Right. Okay, anyone else? Anyone else?
The question was, can you combine the salah, right?
Right.
Yeah, I think you can, because it talks, if you're traveling, then yeah, because it's a mercy from Allah, so you can combine the salah. It's not about easy or difficult.
Correct.
Because Allah knows what's going to happen in the future, and the rule is still is rule.
Right. So remember, there is a reason and there is wisdom. The wisdom of the combining of the salah is the ease, right? To make it easy on you. But the wisdom is not a condition to apply the ruling, which is the combining of the salah. The fiqh says if you travel, you can combine the salah. The wisdom is not a precondition to that. What's precondition? The illah. The illah is I'm traveling. So if you're traveling, that's it. You can combine the salah. Whether or not your salah is hard or easy. Your travel is hard or easy. Because that is the wisdom. So the existence of the illah makes you apply the ruling. The existence or non-existence of the wisdom has nothing to do with the ruling. Yes? If you're traveling? Yes, because that's a great question. If you're traveling, everything is easy. Do I have to combine? It's easy, right? Yes, because Prophet Muhammad said, "Inna Allah yuhibbu an tu'ta rukhasa." Allah loves when He give you permission that you use it. That you use it. Don't say, no. I'm gonna do whatever, even though it's actually easy. But Allah give you the excuse. You travel, you can combine. That's it. You actually can combine. Yes.
And I think why don't you think about separating it? Because it's easier to just pray the whole time, just pray asr, and you don't have to worry about asr and why to pray asr. It's easier. So why would you think should I make it separate? You know what I'm saying?
It is easier for you, but someone will argue, but it's easy anyway. I'm in the plane. What's the big deal? Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala give you those permissions and He like you to take it. What do you do with your extra time? You're not, don't play video games, read Quran, do something, make dhikr, something, right? Something for your family, something useful like this. And that's why there's another concept, which is people think the harder it is, the more reward you will get, right? So Hajj is hard, right? Hajj is hard. No matter what you do, Hajj is hard. But some people, when they go to Hajj, right, between Mina and Muzdalifah, I'm going to walk. You have buses. Yeah, I'm gonna walk so I can get reward. Actually, some scholar says you get sin because you can hurt yourself and you might not be able to finish your Hajj. Or you can hurt someone else if everybody's walking and the whole thing is jammed. Allah says, yes, you can use ease, you can use your bus. Why do you have to introduce hardship? Now, if the hardship is part of the act, when you are doing the tawaf, it's tough. There's nothing you can do about it. That's it, then it's fine. Then you take it, right? When you fast in Ramadan, or you even fast, you fast in Ramadan because that's the obligation, and it's 18 hours, already hardship exists. You don't need to say, well, I'm going to fast only 5 more hours extra on that so I can have more reward. Can't do that, right? So be careful with that. So let's keep going. Now, some of the scholars says, could it be the size of the cat? Because the cat is small and cute. Maybe that's why they can be okay, can be pure. What do you think? You're shaking your head, say no. Why not? Yeah. I agree, it's a no. Why? Because the hadith said the cat, then that's one. That's a good answer. Okay, get chocolate. Ooh, she's like, ooh, I answer, I get chocolate. Oh, I'm sure. You also had good questions, sister. So you get chocolate too. There you go. Sorry if I'm throwing on you. That's a good answer. What other answer? How do we know? How do we say size for the animal matters? Based on what? What do we do in Islam? Based on? Yes. Is it in the Quran? Is it in the Hadith? No. Then that's it. There's nothing that says if the animal is small, then it's pure. If the animal is big, is not. So good answer, sister. Can you give it to her? Sorry. Oops. Sorry. Because also there are dogs that are even smaller than cats, right? So size, it doesn't matter, and there's no hadith about that. Now let's keep going. What about dogs? Dogs also come and go, right? So the hadith that says no, the cat is pure, Prophet Muhammad ﷺ saying the cat is pure because it is one of the animals that come and go on you a lot. Dogs come and go a lot, so why can't we say okay, dogs also is pure? Sorry? Because there's already hadith that says if the dog licks from your vessel, you have to clean it. Yeah. Perfect, right? So you cannot change it, right? So let's keep going. So conclusion on the saliva of animals. Number 1, human saliva is pure or impure? Pure? Anybody? Pure. Anybody think it's impure? Okay. It's pure. Why are you hesitating? It's pure. Well, what do you think? We're impure. We're pure, right? We're pure. So if someone sneezes or something and saliva throw, you're gonna go ew, but you don't have to go wash your clothes or anything, right? It is fine. Number 2, saliva of animals that are permissible to eat, such as camel, cow, chicken, goat, whatever, is pure. The saliva of animals that are permissible to eat are pure. Number 3, and everything is in the documents, inshallah, that's online. Number 3, animals that come and go a lot, except the dog, is pure. Give me another example of beside cat. It's kind of like cross, but some people have what? Birds, but they have rabbits, right? Hanging out, yes. It's a great question. It comes and goes, right? What do you think? But wait a second. So you have mouse as a pet? Really? Okay. What do you think? What do you think? I don't know that anyone has mouse as pet, but who knows, right? So for animals that are not permissible to eat, right, such as pig, right, such as mouse, right, that's an area of research. Some scholars said the saliva of that animal is actually pure, even the pig, because the pig meat and bones, these are the ones we cannot eat. You know what I mean? The chances that the saliva is gonna spit on you is, you know. But who knows? You're on a farm and pig rushes on you or something. If you take opinion 1 and the pig touches you, you might not even need to do anything about it, right? But opinion 2, some other scholars says no, they are still impure in general, right? Another thing talks about the animals that are disgusting, like roaches, well, animals, I mean insects as well, right? Like roaches, like snake, like this and that, dangerous as well. You should not have them as pet, and you should not even discuss if they're permissible to touch you or not, you know? So you're not gonna have that situation. But you have those, you have these 2 different opinions, right? Can we keep the cats in the house, or the cats also have to be outside? In the house, right? They're pure. It's no big deal. Alhamdulillah for the cats, they don't have to leave the house. Okay, so questions so far? Talked about the cats, we talked about dogs last week. Let's move to the next class, inshallah. So today, next class, that's hadith number 10. I believe it's in your book. Do you guys have the book? Do you wanna borrow and read? Yes, no? Yeah, you can. Okay. Hadith number 10. So hadith number 10, جاء عربي, a Bedouin came while Prophet Muhammad ﷺ and the Sahaba were in the masjid, and he did what? He urinated in the masjid. فَزَجَرَهُ النَّاسِ. People like start yelling at him. What's wrong with you? So Prophet Muhammad ﷺ told them to, he stopped them. He says, hold on. Until the man finished his business. And then after that, Prophet Muhammad ﷺ ordered them to drop water on that area to clean it. Right? Okay. And this is hadith sahih both in Bukhari and Muslim. Now, how were the masjids back then in Prophet Muhammad ﷺ time? Anybody knows? Yes. Yeah, it's sand and leaves and stuff like that, right? The floor made of carpets and all that stuff, you know, were not. You get different. You're like, what? Sorry.
It's mine now.
This one you like?
Thank you.
You like this one, you said?
No, I was saying it's mine now.
It's mine. So now, can you imagine this happen today? You're in a masjid, right? In the sisters area, well, whatever, or the men's area, and someone walk in and start urinating in the masjid. Can you imagine? What are the people going to do? Can you tell me? Beat up, maybe chop his head off, something, right?
Look at him crazy.
Yeah, start stoning him, something. They're going to come up with weird things, right? What did Prophet Muhammad ﷺ do? But before that, he poured some water before that?
He told the Sahaba to wait.
Told the Sahaba to wait so he can finish urinating in the masjid. Let's talk about this for a second. Now, before that, remember we talked that this book, Bulugh al-Maram, who's the writer? You remember? Ibn Hajar al-Asqalani, right? Huge scholar, 700 something years after Hijrah. When you read from a textbook like this made by scholars, you get to learn the wisdom of the sequence. They put the hadith not just because he wants hadith here, hadith here. They have a sequence and they want to teach you certain sequence. Why did Ibn Hajj put this hadith here about urinating on the floor? What do you think? Think now. Not necessarily masjid and urination, but think now.
Teach them the etiquettes.
Sorry?
Teach them the etiquettes of.
Teach us the etiquettes of
If you're anything you're supposed to do outside.
Okay, but that's the hadith. But why Ibn Hajj put this one here? He just talked about, before we talked about water and cats and dogs and, yes.
He talks about like the impurities caused by the animals, and then he tries to talk about the impurities caused by the humans.
Very good. Because you might come to pray somewhere and you say, wait a second, is this floor clean? Is this carpet clean? Is there any impurity here, right? So this is related, right? Now, sorry, too far. I make you to move so you can, get up. The human urine, is it najas? Wait. What is najas? Inherently impure. And what's the other word? Najis, which is? Can become impure. So there's, in Arabic, there's najas with with a fatha, and there's najis with a kasra. Najas meaning inherently impure, already impure. Najis can become impure, right? Human urine, is it najas or not? It's inherently impure. Yes. Because if it wasn't, why did Prophet ﷺ wash it? It is inherently impure. That doesn't make you impure and bad person, okay? It's just the urine is impure. Now, why did the hadith say a Bedouin came? You know what's a Bedouin, right? Bedouin is a man who lived outside the city, right? Why Bedouin? What's the big deal? Wait. Yes, I want some new faces. Nice.
It's because he didn't know the ways around and like how to properly be, he didn't know the laws.
He doesn't know how probably what? Sorry?
He doesn't know the laws of Islam.
He doesn't know the laws about Islam. He's removed from the city. He might not know the Islamic law like the Sahaba and the Ansar and stuff that lived with Prophet Muhammad. Perfect. Good answer. Okay. One. Okay. Everything is coming to you. That's not fair. So does that mean now that someone we here in Manhattan, right, or Bronx? So someone in New Jersey or Connecticut, does that mean they're ignorant and they do not know the law? Can we apply that? No? Why not, Amina?
Because it's still part of the city.
It's still part of the city? Okay.
It's not outside the.
What other reason? Okay, someone forget Connecticut, but someone in California. Are they ignorant now because they're outside New York? No. Well, California back then. Yes.
Because the message has reached them.
Yeah, because we have technology, right? We have technology. Back then, they have to travel. The scholars used to say, I traveled thousands of miles for one hadith. Right now, hey man, what's up? Here's a hadith, right? We have to be also careful of that. Because people just send things without checking the source. Anytime you said, you get something on text says, Qala Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, without a source, where it has been, where it come from, Bukhari, Muslim, Tirmidhi, Abu Dawood, Ahmad, you gotta say, excuse me, where'd you get that from? Unless you know absolutely it's authentic hadith. And before you send it to someone else, especially to send it to someone else, because Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, من حدث علي كذبا متعمدا فليتبوأ مقعده من النار. Whoever say from me a lie, let him choose his place in hell. So you gotta be very careful when you get that text on WhatsApp and you say, ooh, it sounds good, and you send it to 50 people. And then it turned out to be wrong hadith, weak hadith, mawdu' hadith, which is fabricated. Be careful, okay? So this also tells us that we need to be careful when there are new revert Muslims, right? Some new revert to Islam. Some people have the habit, this is new revert, and immediately they're asking him, do you do this? Do you do that? Did you grow your beard? Did you do that? Wait a second. He's a new revert. Take it easy. Let him know Tawheed. Let him know Salah first. They want him to do the whole thing. So you got to be careful about that. Now, let me ask you a question. Is urinating in the masjid halal or haram? Is it okay? Is it permissible? It is? Oh wow. What masjid do you go to? No. I meant, sorry. Okay, my question. Yeah, in the place where people pray. Is it permissible? No, don't hesitate. Why hesitate? Of course it's not permissible. So did Prophet Muhammad ﷺ allow something that's not permissible to happen?
Because he's teaching, so.
No, wait, just answer me, yes or no? Did he allow something which is not permissible to happen in the masjid? Yes or no? Yes, right? Okay. So does that mean that he allowed something haram to happen, or haram, which is, it's not allowed? The answer is yes, right? How come?
It has greater wisdom behind it because he's picking this event, but behind this event he can teach us more. So that's all.
So he said because there's a wisdom. So what did Prophet Muhammad do? The guy was urinating, right? The Sahaba jump, you want to kill him, whatever. And he said, wait, let him finish, and then clean it. Sister, you had an answer? Okay, go ahead. Oh, no? Okay. So, did he stop the urination? No. What did he stop? But he stopped something. Yes.
He stopped him from doing it again.
He stopped?
He stopped him from doing it again.
Right. So he stopped what? The method. They were jumping on him and he said, wait, relax. Right? He stopped the way they were doing it. Now, that teaches us what? That when you have matters that happen around you, you need to use knowledge and strategy, not emotions. A lot of time, right? A lot of time. The Denmark thing, they put Prophet Muhammad ﷺ in the cartoon. This is not allowed in the deen. But they're not Muslims, right? What happened? So many people went and protest and burn. And what happened? Some Muslims died. And some business got burned. For what? What did you establish? Protesting does not do that. Does not do that. If you want to protest, you must have a strategy. What are you going to do? It's not about violence. It's not about... Why don't you protest by showing them how Prophet Muhammad ﷺ lived? His sayings, what he did, his manners, his life. Not going throwing stones on something, right? So, same thing on Facebook, on media. You see someone saying something mean to Islam, you see a lot of people coming and cursing and attacking, and I'm going to kill you, and I'm going to... Does that really give a good image of Muslims? No, that's not the thing. Calm down. Put your nerves in the freezer, right? So you see Muslims these days, two extremes. One extreme, extremely emotional, right? Like the one we just talked about. The other one, extremely emotionless. Emotionless, meaning what? Meaning they learn deen. They know stuff, but they don't do da'wah whatsoever. They don't tell anyone anything. They just learn for themselves. And that's not why you learn Islam. You learn Islam to get closer to Allah and then to help people around you, even one ayah, even one nasiha. Right? So we have the two extremes. Let's keep going before the Adhan. Why did Prophet Muhammad ﷺ then stop the method and not the action? Why did he stop them from jumping the guy or whatever, beating him up, and did not stop the action itself? Yes.
I think if they had beat him up, he probably would have like thought, oh, Muslims are bad and everything. But then because I think, I'm not sure if I'm right, but I think afterwards because the Prophet was nice to him, that he became Muslim.
He was Muslim. That's a good point. That's a good point. So it's a da'wah in a way, right? So you don't like start by fighting, okay? Question is, why did Prophet Muhammad ﷺ did not stop the man or let them stop them right away? Yes.
Because if they actually had harmed the man, it would have caused greater harm,
Yes. Such as?
death, or
Like, okay, they could have beaten the guy, right? What else? This is good. Like what? What's that?
The anger, like
Anger, right? And fight and more stuff. Or the guy who panic and urinate everywhere now. Because it's like, right? It's weird, but it could have happened, right? So this goes to another fiqh principle. When you have two evils, you stop the lesser evil. That doesn't sound logical. The lesser evil meaning, because if you try to stop the bigger evil, will cause more harm. So in this case, right, the lesser evil was the bigger evil was to stop the man regardless, and that could have caused fight. Maybe someone would have died. Back then, maybe they would have had the swords and killed each other. Maybe the guy would never come back to the masjid. Maybe the guy, like the sister said, doesn't want to be a Muslim anymore. What's this? He doesn't know. He doesn't know, right? So the greater evil would have been chaos, right? And fight, right? And so he stopped the lesser evil. And you have to think about these things in fiqh. Is this amazing science because you can use it in your life. Someone say something on Facebook. You might, I gotta answer. But you might think, wait, do I have enough knowledge to answer? If you don't have enough knowledge to answer, are you gonna really serve answering him or you're not? You might not. So you better not answer, or فَاسْأَلُوا أَهْلَ الذِّكْرِ إِن كُنْتُمْ لَا تَعْلَمُونَ. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, when you don't know, what do? You ask people who know, who have knowledge. You go, you call your sister, you call your brother, who you know is learning, and says, brother, can you spend some time? Answer this guy. Right? Don't get emotional and start cursing and all that stuff. You have a question? Right. Also, connected to this, Islam cares about both spiritual and physical purity. We talked about physical purity, right? Washing and everything and stuff like that. But of course, the spiritual purity, such as the salah cleanse you from the sins, right? Wudu cleanses you and stuff like that. For example, Prophet Muhammad ﷺ said what? Said don't eat onion and go to masjid. Don't eat onion and go to masjid, right? How many times you've been in masjid like, oh my God, all this onion around, right? People don't brush their teeth, right? Why? Because you hurt others, right? Or another example, take shower before you go to Jum'ah Salah, right? Islam is always about cleanliness and about the others. Now, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala likes sneezing and dislikes yawning. Why did I say that? Can you give me why? Yeah. Wait. Anyone else want to try? Yes.
Yawning represent laziness?
Yawning promotes laziness. And what happens when you yawn? Most likely all of us are going to be yawning, right? So it's also infectious, contagious, right? What else from hadith or ayah? Do you know, sister? Or any sister? Sister. Yeah, anybody knows? Yes. Yes. Prophet Muhammad ﷺ in hadith says, when you yawn, if you don't hold it with your hand, shaitan enters. Sahih hadith. What does that mean, shaitan enters? We don't know. But you don't want shaitan inside anyway. So let's not debate that, right? What about sneezing? What happens when you sneeze?
Is it because the first time Allah blew spirit in Adam Islam, he sneezed?
Yeah, you went way back. Forget this one. This is long. But what happens when you sneeze? As Muslims, someone sneezes, you say Alhamdulillah and you say Alhamdulillah or Yahdikum Yuslih Balakum, right? There's good things, right? There's this dua. This is dua for each other. Yahdikum Yuslih Balakum, right? Yarhamukumullah and all these things. But also sneezing from a physical perspective is refreshing. When you sneeze, like no, this is what the scholar says. It's not my view, right? And so see how Islam cares about your physical purity, your spiritual purity through different means. Now, there's another weak hadith. It's weak though. That said that Prophet Muhammad ﷺ told the people to dig the place where the urine was and then wash it. But that's a weak hadith, and we cannot apply it now, even if it was not weak hadith, because what are you going to do? You're going to cut the carpet and all that stuff. Guess what? Guess what the Jews do? When the Jews something happen on their clothes, impurity, do you know what they do? They cut it. So sometimes you see some Jew with like a cut here, like what's up with that? Islam, subhanAllah, says no, go wash it. Keep your clothes. Imagine a bunch of them and they're like, a chest, board or something, right? So subhanAllah, Islam is fitrah. Islam is the correct instinct, right? Now, the next thing is it mandatory to remove the urine by water? Okay, opinion 1 says yes because the Prophet said so. Opinion 2 says no, you can actually use soap, you can use Ajax, whatever, because the goal is to remove the impurity. Remember that, it's impurity. The goal is to remove the impurity. Both opinions hold truth. I personally believe you don't have to necessarily only use water. You can use other means, but that's just my own preference. You know, you can choose. Also, back then there weren't many options anyway. There was no soap and all that stuff, so they had to use water, right? And also, water was the most accessible and fastest to use. Urine, come, boom, water. You know, right? Let's continue with the analysis of the hadith. See how many things we are deriving from one hadith? It's a lot of things, right? Have you ever looked at hadith with that depth before? Yes? No? Right. And this is fiqh, right? The next thing is the masjid is a place for salah, for zikr, right? And it's not befitting for impurities, right? It's not the place for impurities, right? So when you see something wrong in the masjid, right? Sometimes people say, "Hey, I'm going to do Amro ma'ruf wa nahy anil munkar," which is wajib. You know that, right? Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in Quran says, "Kuntum khayra ummatin ukhrijat lin-nas." You are the best nation ever came to this universe or whatever. Why? تأمرون بالمعروف وتنهون عن المنكر وتؤمنون بالله. Because you do Amr ma'ruf wa nahy anil munkar and you believe in Allah. So when we leave this, we're going to be in trouble. We're not going to be the best nation. Prophet Muhammad ﷺ told us, don't be like the Jews. Their scholars left. They quit Amr ma'ruf wa nahy anil munkar. They see something wrong, it's okay, do whatever. And they even join them. Don't do that. But there are manners how to tell people. Right? You have to do it with kindness. You have to do it with smartness. You don't go, brother, you're going to hell. Oh, what'd you do? That's not a good start. Even if, first of all, you don't know he's going to hell. Nobody knows who's going to hell or who's going to hell, right? We strive to work so that we can do the best we can in this life, right? You, as a human, we have nobody has a right to judge or to say anything, but but the good word. Number 2, this person is not going to listen to you anymore. Probably want to punch you in the face, right? So you want to use, mashallah, I always see you in the masjid, you're in the first row, mashallah, you always pray, but I have this small thing, if you don't mind, let me tell you this advice. Al-Hasan wal-Hussein, you know Al-Hasan wal-Hussein? They are the sons of Ali, right? Ali, and the grandsons of Muhammad. So they saw a man, old man, who was praying like very fast, like he's in a race. This is not accepted salah, right? Why? Because Prophet Muhammad ﷺ, some guy was praying so fast, he told him what? He says, "Irja' fa salli fa innaka lam tusalli." Go back and pray because you did not pray. Then he prayed again, very fast. Prophet Muhammad told him again, and then he did it again, 3rd time. Then the man said, "That's how I pray. Show me." Then Prophet Muhammad showed him that you have to take your time between every move, right? So Hassan wal Hussein saw an old man praying very fast. So they thought about it. So they came right next to him. One of them said, "Let me show you how to pray." Tak, 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 like the man did. The other one said, "No, that's not how Prophet Muhammad said. Pray, let me show you how to do it." The man got the idea, got the concept, and went to them and says, "Jazakumullah khair, you just told me," with a very kind way. Didn't even talk to him. They just did it next to him, right? Now, when you tell people something, don't just say, "This is haram, this is wrong," and stop. Explain why, right? People want to know why. Because if you tell me why what am I doing is wrong, more likely I'm going to follow it. If you just say it's haram, okay. I don't know, right? I don't know you, right? So the reason is very important. And in order for you to do that, you must purify your intention. Purifying intention is so important in everything we do. Everything we do. Meaning, when you went there to tell the sister, "Sister, please don't do this," is it really for the sake of Allah? Or you're showing off, or you want to put her down, or you don't want her to come to the masjid anymore, right? So you do it for the sake of Allah, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will accept it. Now, any questions so far? Okay. We're gonna have inshallah time for questions. What time do they pray Isha? I mean, what time do they pray Isha? 8 something?
Here?
Oh.
Yeah, 8 o'clock.
8 o'clock. Excellent. Okay. You mind we keep going? Do you mind we keep going? Okay, khair. So, based on this, can you pray on a rug? You have a rug, right? Oh, first of all, do you have to pray on a rug? You know the praying rug? Do you have to pray on the rug? Anybody say you must? Okay. So, if you pray on this carpet, is it right? How do you know that this carpet is clean?
It's dry.
Hmm?
It's heavy.
Okay. Yes.
Does it depend on the because I think it's super dirty. I mean, like, yeah, like she said, it looks clean, but at the same time, like back to the urine situation, so you're like, you have to make sure it's clean first.
Right. Let me ask you a harder question. You go to a hotel. This is very common, right? People go to a hotel. They're in a business trip, whatever, maybe, or wife and husband, whatever, and they don't have the praying rug, which is not a sunnah. You don't have to put a praying rug to pray, right? And the guy says, I'm not touching this floor. I don't know the people before us. What did they do? Is that correct? No. Who said no? Yeah, why no?
Because there's no apparent impurities on it.
Ah.
Which is dry.
Right. Yes.
If you can, okay, you can pray on it because you cannot prove like it was dirty.
Exactly. Remember the certainty and the doubt? You're not even sure that there's impurity. Did you see anything? Nothing, right? Unless there's something wet, something, smelly, right? But you're saying this, I don't know what happened before. You have no proof, you have no base to say there's impurity, then it's pure, right? Al-yaqinu la yuzalu bishak. What's certain is not removed by doubt. Remember that's one of the principles of al-fiqh, right? So this was the hotel. Okay. You're in the masjid, and remember the masjid that Prophet Muhammad ﷺ was there, and then the man urinated on one side. Can you pray on the other corner, even though this corner has the urine? Yes or no?
Yeah.
Yes? Who said yes? Who said yes? Who said no? Was that no?
Yes.
Anybody know? Yeah, of course it's a yes, because it's nothing to do with it. This is this, right? Where you're praying, it's pure. Does that mean you leave this corner alone, you never touch it? Of course you need to wash it, right? To clean it, right? Now, let's make it smaller. You have a rug, praying rug. Let's say it's big enough, so it's not very tiny. And one corner here, you're 100% sure there's impurity on that rug. Can you pray on that rug? When you go down, you're not touching that impurity. It's big enough, but it's the corner. Amin said no. Why?
I don't know, it just feels right.
It feels right. It feels right that we don't pray, okay?
No,
No, because? No, you cannot pray.
no, you cannot pray.
Okay?
Because the place where it's standing, that's impure because the rug itself, you don't think like, oh, this corner. Okay, in science we think about the system. So your system is this rug.
Right.
It's not that corner only, like this corner only.
Okay. Other opinions? Did you bring your fiqh hat today? You have it, I think so. We have like invisible fiqh hats that people put every class. Yes, you had an answer.
Oh, I was going to say, you can, as long as you're not touching it, but if you see another rug, to get that.
You can as long as you're not touching it. Why do you say that?
Because that's not, like, as long as it doesn't seep through where you're praying.
Right.
Because you said before, if there's impurity here.
Perfect. The masjid, this is a big rug, right? This corner is dirty, but you can pray here. Think of that floor as a rug. That is called qiyas. So you know, that's number one. Number two, Prophet Muhammad ﷺ, he prayed with his shoes. Jibril came, he says, take off your shoes. They have some impurity on it. He put it right there and he prayed. Right next to him. Now he did not know this hadith, so it's unfair. But the point is, if you have a rug, and there's an impurity, and you must pray on the rug, like you said. You can replace it if you want, but you don't have to. But you have to eventually wash it, right? Or clean it. But that corner is not going to ruin your salah as long as you're not touching it. Right? Yes, you had something to say? Right. As long as you do not touch the impurity. And of course, it's preferable to find another rug at a later time. But let's say you must pray and there's no other rug, whatever it is, the situation, right? Then you can absolutely use it. Okay. Now, let's move on to any questions so far. Yes?
We were talking about urine, but what about vomit?
Vomit. What about vomit?
Like if a child is in the masjid and like vomits on the salah area.
So,
Same mechanism to clean
the
it.
child vomit on you,
No.
you have to make ghusl.
Do you have to wash it?
What do you think? Is the vomit impure?
I was gonna ask. I heard that it was, but I always understood that it wasn't.
Okay, so let's delay this. It's a long discussion. But keep it on the side. Let's go to Hadith 11. Hadith 11, Abdullah ibn Umar, right? Who's Abdullah ibn Umar? Son of Umar Khattab. That's why they say Abdullah ibn Umar radiyallahu anhuma. May Allah be pleased with both of them, because both are Sahabis, right? Abdullah ibn Umar, he says, أُحِلَّتْ لَنَا مَيْتَتَانِ وَدَمَانِ فأما الميتتان فالجراد والحوت وأما الدمان فالطحال والكبد. Meaning, Ibn Umar said, Allah's Messenger said the two types of dead animals are, there are two types of dead animals and the two types of blood that are lawful to us. The two types of dead animals are the locust. Locust in Arabic is called al-jarad. You know that locust? Look funny, he jumped and stuff. Right. And the fish. And then the two types of blood are the liver and the spleen. The tahal and the al-kabid, right? Now let's go. This hadith in itself is weak because one of the narrators, his name is Abdurrahman ibn Zayd ibn Aslam. His sons are all weak, not him. His sons are all weak, right? Because they narrated from him, right? How did you know from him? His son. And their son were weak, meaning memory bad, whatever it is. So this hadith itself is weak. However, there's another narration very similar to this one in the books of Al-Bayhaqi. Al-Bayhaqi is a very famous scholar who classified the hadith as mawquf. Now you're laying, what on earth did he just say? What is mawquf? Okay, so when it comes to the narration or the isnad from, right? There are different names. One is called marfu'. Marfu' is a hadith that goes all the way to Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Marfu'. And then there is mawquf. The mawquf, it goes to the companion. The words of the companion. Abdullah ibn Umar said. Ibn Abbas said. He did not say Prophet Muhammad said. He said. Right? And then number 3 called maqtu', which means it ends with a tabi'i. What's a tabi'i? Wait, you know. And you know. And I think you know. What's a tabi'i? He?
The generation that came after the Sahaba.
Did they see the Sahaba? Not sure. Okay. Yes, that is correct. Did they see Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam? No. Perfect. So, the Sahabi, let's go back. The Sahabi is a person who was Muslim, died as Muslim, and saw Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam and heard him. Attended him, because there was one blind Sahabi. He did not see Prophet Muhammad, but he heard him, right? So, heard him, saw him, learned from him, that's a Sahabi. Tabi'i is someone who did not see Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, but he saw Sahaba. He learned from the Sahaba, attended Sahaba, right? And there's something called tabi'i. Who's that? Someone who witnessed tabi'i, right? And that's it. There's no tabi'i. We're not gonna stop here, right? Okay. Like we're right. So marfu' goes all the way to Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Mawquf is the words of the Sahaba, and maqtu' is the words of tabi'i. Now, some of the mawquf hadith, mawquf is what? The Sahabi, right? are raised to the level of marfu, as if Prophet Muhammad ﷺ said it, right, originally, meaning they are called mawquf originally, meaning in itself, you don't see the Prophet Muhammad name is there, right? But it's called marfu' hukman, or marfu' in a status way, meaning, and I explained to you that what that means. For example, when the companion or the Sahabi talks about the matter of the unseen, how did he know it? Of course, Prophet Muhammad talked to him. He's not going to make it up. These are the Sahaba. They're not making up things. If they talk about the matters of the unseen, then definitely they talk. Even though it is mawquf, but it's raised to a level of marfu' because of the contents, right? Or when the companion is said, it was said. We were ordered. It was permitted to us. By who? By Allah? Of course, by Prophet Muhammad ﷺ, right? Through al-wahy, right? So when you hear these things, that hadith goes from this level, mawquf, to marfu', which goes to Prophet Muhammad ﷺ. Now, the second question is, could the Khulafa al-Rashideen commanded things? You know who are the Khulafa al-Rashideen? You know, right? Abu Bakr, Umar, Uthman, Ali. A lot of chocolate is going to go with this one. Okay, I can give you later. Could they have commanded us to do things? No?
They were not going to command anything which will go against the Sunnah and Sunnah of Rasulullah.
True, but could they have said something? Commanded us?
They can.
They can. So no, yes, right? Right. The answer is yes, because Prophet Muhammad ﷺ said what in the hadith? He was talking to the Sahaba, and he says, whoever is going to live long after me, meaning after his death, ﷺ, is going to see a lot of diversion, a lot of deviation from the religion. And the advice was what? So, عُضُّوا فَعَلَيْكُمْ بِسُنَّتِي, hold to my sunnah, and وَسُنَّةُ الْخُلَفَاءِ الرَّاشِدِينَ, and the sunnah of the Khulafa al-Rashideen, عُضُّوا عَلَيْهَا بِالنَّوَاجِزِ. عُضُّوا عَلَيْهَا بِالنَّوَاجِزِ, meaning hold it in your molar teeth. If you want something really hard, you hold like this, meaning don't let go. So that means Khulafa al-Rashideen also could have commanded us. But they're not going to command us like the brother said. Yeah, actually, that's a great answer. Definitely chocolate for this one. You have to walk for the chocolate. I mean, because chocolate is getting chubby, so you have to walk for it. They will never tell us something from their mind. It must have reference to Quran or Sunnah, right? So let's keep going. So remember this hadith, right? The hadith said what? It's permitted to us two dead and two bloods. Now, let's keep going. In Surah Al-Baqarah, ayah 173, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, إِنَّمَا حُرِّمَ عَلَيْكُمُ الْمَيْتَةَ وَالدَّمَ وَلَحْمَ الْخِنْزِيرِ وَمَا أُهِلَّ بِهِ لِغَيْرِ اللَّهِ. Meaning, it's been forbidden on you. What? The mayta. Mayta is what? Dead animal. We'll talk about this in a second. And the blood. And the flesh of the swine or the pig. And that which is slaughtered as a sacrifice for other than Allah. These are forbidden, right? So, question. Can we eat dead animal? Huh? Can we eat it? Yes. Exactly, thank you. That was a tricky question. Yeah. You'll be surprised when... That's a good question too, right. But you're right. Yes. So it depends. So if it's slaughtered correctly and it's a dead animal in the correct answer, then yes. But yes, we cannot eat live animal. Like you're really hungry, you cannot just snatch that thigh from the chicken and start eating it. No, sorry. Nobody's gonna do that. Oh, the sister's like, oh my God, what's wrong with it? No, I'm just sorry. It's a bad joke. So this ayah tells us what? That dead animal is what? Like, according to this ayah, dead animal is halal or haram? Haram, right? This ayah says, don't eat mayta. Mayta is dead animal, right? At least this ayah, right? What about this hadith we just told us? He said, you have two dead you can eat, which is the locust and the fish. That tells you that a hadith can make an exception to an ayah. right? Why? Is because Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam want from his? No, because Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says what about Prophet Muhammad? لا ينطق عن الهوى إنما هو وحي إن هو إلا وحي يوحى. He does not say whatever he wants. It's all inspiration to him, right? That's why the hadith is the second, and a lot of scholars says equivalent to the Quran, because sometimes something is not explained here, it's explained in the hadith, right? So this is an example of the hadith that made an exception to the dead, right? Now let's keep going. Now there's another ayah. The other ayah says أُحِلَّ لَكُمْ, it has been permitted to you, Saydul Bahri. Saydul Bahr, the literal translation is the game of the water, or the water game. And then وَطَعَامُهُ, and its food, مَتَاعًا لَكُمْ, is lawful to you. Its food is lawful to you. Meaning this ayat says, is lawful to you, right? Whatever you catch from the sea in a game, and its food. Right. So Ibn Abbas explained this. He says, Saydul Bahri, meaning the things you catch alive. You fish. Catch a fish. She's alive. I know, sorry, but that's how it is, right? Right? And then, so then, if this is the water game, what about the food? He said, and its food is also halal to what food? We just said the one you catch is halal to you as alive. So what is the food?
Fishy worms, right? Fishy worms.
Fishy worms? What is fishy worms?
Do fish eat worms, as you're saying?
Fish and worms?
No, fish eat worms.
Oh, fish eat.
That's how they eat fish.
Fish eat a lot of things, but
Yeah, they do.
there's nothing to do with it. No. No, but what is the food of the sea? We just talked about life. Then it's the dead. So if you see actually a fish floating, you can actually grab it and eat it. Some madhab, only one madhab says you can't, but that's the weakest opinion. Okay, but we're not going to get into that, right? So let's go back now to the word mayta, right? When you see mayta in Islam, in fiqh, it means one or two things. Either the animal died on itself. Chicken walking, got old, subhanAllah, it's time, and it took a corner, and and we're all gonna die. So I'm not making fun of the chicken, right? And died on its own. Can you come now? Chicken is dead. Can you come now? Like, all right, have dinner. Can you do that? No, you can't. You cannot eat that chicken, because this chicken is considered mayta, right? It's dead on its own. Number two, an animal that was not slaughtered Islamically. Meaning mention the name of Allah, and there are certain steps that you do, right? So I'm not gonna get into McDonald's and all that. That's in the fiqh of food. People are like, what? I was gonna eat McDonald's tonight. What do I do now? Okay, no, we're gonna talk about this inshallah in the future. But an animal that has been slaughtered in a non-Islamic way without mentioning the name of Allah, you cannot eat it, and it's also called mayta. So mayta, two things. Number one, an animal died on its own. Number two, slaughtered non-Islamically, right?
What about one that was killed by like a predator? Would that be under the first category?
Same thing.
Same thing, right?
Yes. Killed by predator, so a hawk attacked the thing, the chicken, then I don't want to eat. Then he left. No. That is also mayta.
That would be in the first category as the one that died on its own.
Yes.
Like, sort of a natural cause.
Correct. Died on its own doesn't mean necessarily got old,
Yeah.
but died. Yes. Yes.
Okay, what about when it comes to like deceased animals? Like, if you kill it and then you realize it's deceased afterwards, like.
It's a great question. I do not know the answer. Animal that has sickness.
Yeah.
How do you know that? Chickens like have a headache. It's like, I can't produce some eggs, so this chicken. I honestly, I don't know. That's a great question. I am going to research, inshallah. Zakallah. You deserve a chicken. I'm giving away chickens now. No, I'm not doing that. Sister, sorry. You deserve a chocolate, okay? For the record, on the video, we're not giving chickens. Okay, now let's talk about blood, right? The first ayah said was, حُرِمَتْ عَلَيْكُمْ الْمَيْتَ وَالدَّمْ. Forbidden for you what? Ad-dam. Ad-dam meaning the blood. Now, what blood are we talking about? Right. If you look at this, you can think of blood of anything, right? You don't know. But there's another ayah in the Quran, right? In Surah Al-An'am. It says, قُلْ لَا أَجِدُ فِي مَا أُوحِيَ إِلَيَّ مُحَرَّمًا عَلَيَّ طَاعِمٍ يَطْعَمُهُ إِلَّا أَنْ يَكُونَ مَيْتًا أَوْ دَمًا مَسْفُوحًا أَوْ لَحْمَ خِنْزِيرٍ. Meaning, say, O Prophet Muhammad, I do not find in that which has been revealed to me anything forbidden to be eaten by one who wishes to eat it, unless it be maita or blood spilled out. Not just blood, spilled out. Meaning you slaughter and the blood gush, or the flesh of the pork or the swine, for that surely is impure. So what happened here? The first ayah says forbidden is blood. Second one said what? Blood spilled out. So the second ayah did what to the first ayah? Explained it, detailed it. And that's another reason, again, we always come back to this, you don't look at one ayah, you don't look at one hadith, and you make a ruling, right? So the blood here is the detailed daman masfuh. Daman masfuh meaning blood that has been spilled out, right? So question. Animal that's alive, and sorry for the grossness, but just and some blood come out of the animal. Can you take that blood and eat it or do something with it? I know the face, of course, the face is fine. But some people say sometimes blood, whatever, cure, whatever it is. The question is it halal or haram? Huh? Haram? Anybody say halal?
I heard that there's certain, I think, transplants which they use animal blood for. Is that,
What is a transplant, sorry?
So random.
I'm not a medical guy here.
Oh, I thought because it's better for the blood in general, so I thought that if you like.
Oh, transfer.
For a transplant. Like,
No, we're not talking about that. Huge subject.
Oh, okay, sorry. I heard that they use animals.
That's
So like blood transfusion.
yeah, but we're not talking about this. Yeah, let's discuss this later. So an animal, the blood of an animal which is alive is haram, right? There's no doubt about it, right? That's number one. Number two, the blood that is spilled out while the animal is being slaughtered, even Islamically, is haram. It's not halal. That is one of the reasons you slaughter the animal, so the blood and the animal is clean, right? Now, what about after the animal is dead from slaughtering? Some blood remains on the animal. Is that also haram? Do you have to really wash it and all that stuff? Is it haram or halal? No what? Halal, haram. Is it haram or halal?
Wash it off.
Just answer me. Is it haram or halal? So you're saying it's haram, right? What do you think? Halal? What do you think? In the middle?
It's allowed because it's possible to get rid of all the blood.
Right. It is halal. Because the blood that is haram is the one spilled out. Comes out naturally, right? If you want to clean it, that is fine. That is fine. Absolutely fine. But you don't have to if you happen, because no matter what you clean it, sometimes there's something. There's blood inside the bone and all that. What are you going to do? Oh my God, I ate haram. Right? No. Right? So this is not that blood. Right? Just check the time. It's 8 o'clock. So if all the bloods, except the animal when it's live or the blood that's spilled out, if the rest of the types of the blood are permissible, why did Prophet Muhammad ﷺ mention specifically the liver and the spleen? You can eat those two bloody organs. Because the description is daman, so they are full of blood. Why did he mention them if we know that,
Wait, get a question? Did you ask a question?
Yeah, it's a question. Sure. So that, remember the hadith? It was permitted to us 2 dead and 2 bloods. And the 2 bloods were the liver and the spleen. Why did he specify it there when we know that the condition is if it's not spilled out, if it is not from a live animal, then it's fine, then it's halal. Why do you have to spell it out then?
It's over here. It's in the presentation. Can I see it?
What?
It's in your presentation. Can I see
You
it?
read it? Okay, good.
Because those 2 organs are full of blood.
They're full of blood, and some people like to eat liver and spleen. So instead of someone might say, "Oh, how am I going to clean this? All this blood?" No, you can eat it. Subhanallah. Islam does not leave anything, right?
So there are bloods besides those 2 that are permissible under certain conditions?
The blood that remains in the animal,
Oh, I see.
right? But it could have just left it that way because you already slaughtered, the blood gushed out. This is not a live animal. This is halal animal, but there is blood inside. It's fine. But why specifically then say the liver and the spine? Because those, no matter what you do, will have a lot of blood. Understand? Okay. I'm not a cook, but that's the case. So okay, we're done. Questions, and the questions don't have to be related. It's up to you. Like last class. I mean, no, but we're not going to talk about transparent. If it's too long, then we'll give the shorter ones first. I mean, Alaikum salam.
Other organs we eat, like the brain, the tongue, and the gizzards, and the head, and the lamb, and
Yeah, to my knowledge, you can. Yes, you can. To my knowledge, you can. But this is one of the things, inshallah, we'll discuss in the fiqh of food. There's a difference between what's discussed and what's haram. It might not be necessarily haram, but it could be discussed. And sometimes disgust is the reason for haram. For example, roaches, right? Disgusting, right? We are not allowed to eat disgusting animals, such as roaches, such as certain types of snakes or whatever. I don't know what others I can think of. Maybe lizard. No, not lizard. Sorry. Mice. Thank you. It's a good. So whoever, I don't know who was raising a mice. Yeah. So. I'm sorry. You're afraid of them? Yeah. I think most of us are. Some are like big, but anyway. Questions?
Can we eat pigeon?
Can we eat what?
Pigeon.
Pigeon. Yes, you can.
Okay.
Yes, you can.
Farm
Now she's going to the
pigeons
park
versus-
by the cars, catching pigeons.
But there's difference
Because
between farm-raised pigeons versus just regular city pigeons.
in terms of GMO and all that stuff,
No, like just regular pigeons, they carry a lot of diseases.
that's a different story, right? But it's nothing, right? And the question about if the animal has disease, it's a great question. I don't know the answer.
There's some animals like you can't even tell that they're diseased until after you slaughter them, you cut them open, cut into the flesh, and then you can see some markers like
I see.
right or something like that. So like I don't know, that could be something
If you
like-
definitely find disease, why would you eat it?
Yeah, exactly. It's
But
like-
I don't know how to discover that. To be honest with you, maybe some people have that ability. I mean,
I've been into chicken and
Right.
it looks kind of
right. So let's before I forget. So we made a survey, right, on the time. Okay, so I don't think you answered the survey. So the survey said other options because there was other people came last time and they said we would like to come to the class, but 6 to 7 or 6 to 8 on Monday is difficult for us. So I made a survey and it looks like Monday 12 to 1:30 and Wednesday 12 to 1:30 are the winning numbers, the winning days. Now, sister, did you participate?
I didn't vote
One of these 2 days?
Monday.
For Monday. But Wednesday would not work for you.
Wednesday works too, actually.
Oh, Wednesday work. Okay.
Yeah.
Amina, would both work for you? Monday and Wednesday? 12 to 1:30 or 2? Okay. Sister Soraya? Not the one work for you. You have classes.
12:30.
And you-
I have classes.
both Monday and Wednesday?
Yeah.
Okay, so if we keep this 6 to 7:30, would you come? Because the reason we
Usually my class is at 6:15. No, today honestly we early to get exams. Normally I get 6:15.
right,
That's always my case.
because the last thing I want to do is do this class twice.
I mean, I can come late if
Huh?
that's okay with you. Because for both days that you mentioned, I'm 15 minutes into the class.
Right.
And I would be late to class.
This class?
Yeah.
Yeah, because we never start at 6, right? By the time we set up the camera and everything, and people show up, it's like 6. And then there's a pray.
We're not at Maghrib at like 6:09. We probably start after Maghrib anyway.
We start with Maghrib, yeah.
So by the time we start, we'll start.
So let's keep this 6 to 8. But I know that there's few people who said Monday, so I'm gonna see if I can come here early and give the class twice. Because they really want to learn, and it's not right. Prophet Muhammad ﷺ said, whoever is asked about knowledge and they hold it on purpose, on the day of judgment they come with a fire in their mouth. So I don't think this is applied to me, but I'm freaking out. Maybe it applies to me. If someone asks me, then I should try. So we'll see. So just a preview on what's happening next. So far, sister, I didn't get your name. Maryam, sorry. And Soraya, right? No. Lamia. Oh, you're Lamia. Okay. Lamia, you choose Thursday, right? That's why. But this time is okay? No. So far we talked about the types of water, right? We talked about that the water is in general pure. Nothing can make it impure. But the way to check that the water is pure or not is color, taste, and smell. You're gonna get chocolate if you remember. Oh, I'm sorry. Color, taste, or smell, right? And if you drop, so this is a little review for you guys. So, and if you drop a tea bag in the water, can you make wudu in it? Wait. I'm asking that. I want to see him.
I remember the answer to this too.
Remember what she just said. Change in color.
It has to be and, all three and.
All? Yeah, oh, not all three. No. Change in color, or change in taste, or change in smell, or all of them. That's fine.
Yeah. I think tea actually changes all three. Because when you move the tea, usually it becomes brown.
Right, I'm not debating, but not necessarily. Maybe the thing was very dry, and right.
Depends on the amount.
Yes.
As long as you call it water, it's good.
As long as, right. That's a good answer. As long as you call it water, it is good. Did you hear that?
Oh, yeah.
As long as you call it water, it's good. If you drink it and it tastes now like tea, it's not water anymore. It's not considered water according to the fiqh. It's considered tea. You drop some flour in the tea. You drop some mint in the water. You drop some mint in the water, and now you cannot call it water anymore. It has different taste, different color. Then it's not water. It's called mint water. It's called flower water, whatever, jasmine water. You cannot use it to make wudu, right? So this is something to know. We talked about fiqh history, which was long. We covered from Prophet Muhammad ﷺ all the way to here, and the madhabs and the fiqh and stuff. So it's all on YouTube, by the way. If you want to go back and read it and ask me questions, easier than try to. We talked about the stagnant water and the flowing water, right? The water that is trapped in a place, in a tank or something, and it has no exit, but it has a source. It's called al-ma'u al-da'im, and the other one is al-raqid. So al-ma'u da'im is, in English, is stagnant water, and al-ma'u al-raqid in English is also stagnant water. That's the deficiency of English. Funny, right? The difference is the first one, al-ma'u da'im, has a source but has no exit. The second one has no source, no exit, right? You know, bottle of water. You don't know where the source is, or tank, whatever it is, right? And there's the ma'ul jari, which has a source, has an exit, such as river, for example, right? That kind of thing. Rainwater drops in a place, becomes ma'ul da'im. You saw the source, right? If the source is continuing, it becomes ma'ul da'im. If it stops and you just have water there, it becomes ma'ul rakid. There's nothing, it's just sitting there, right? And we talked about, can you use it to make wudu or not, and make ghusl or not, right? And one of the things we said that it's, what did we say about a man and a woman making ghusl from the stagnant water? Meaning the man make ghusl, and then the woman make ghusl from the used water, from the remaining water. What did we say? It's makruh, right? We went through this analysis, right? It's makruh. If you do it, it's fine. And what man and woman we're talking about? Husband and wife. Let's make that clear, right? How about I take water, I take ghusl from this water, and the bucket is left some water. Can my roommate take water from that? He's a man. The answer is yes. Man and man, yes. Woman and woman is yes, because there's no prohibition at all from any hadith. And we talked about different impurities, and we talked about dead animals and stuff. Next, we're going to talk about the fly. We're going to talk about animal parts. We're going to talk about the gold and silver, and we're going to talk about the skin of the animal, which is very important. We're going to talk about the discharges, such as men discharge, women discharge, and then we're going to get to the wudu. We could not have started with wudu without understanding everything else. Why? Because any of those things could have caused impurities to the water that you're going to use for wudu, for ghusl, for wudu or ghusl, right? So that's the reason. And so we're going to talk about the wudu after that, and then the nullifiers of the wudu, inshallah, and the tayammum and stuff like that, and rubbing on the socks and all that stuff, inshallah. Yes.
The hadith you mentioned about the man that comes to the masjid and urinating on the masjid.
In the masjid.
How does that hadith relate to wudu?
It does not relate to wudu, but it relates to the tahara in general. Because you're going to go pray somewhere and there's impurity. It's about the carpet and the floor and things like that. So to know how to think about these situations. Right. Jazakallah khair. And that's it. Jazakumullah khair. Okay. Ahsantu alaikum assalam wa rahmatullah.